Hello, everyone. Good evening. Wearing my Bronx hat today, because I am from the Bronx, the boogie down. Yes, I am. And I'm doing this video because someone asked me a long time ago to talk about the shootings that I've been in. I'm not going to go into but so much detail, but let me say this to you. Growing up in New York City, I would never, ever, ever live in another non gun friendly state again. I won't do it. Uh, Growing up in the Bronx, or I'll just say New York City, I've had to turn over my valuables to the scumbags of society. When I was a little boy, the kid was bigger than me. As I got a little bigger, there were more of them than me. As I turned into a teenager, now they were carrying weapons. I did not like turning over my stuff to these dickheads, and I said never, ever, ever again. So when I did my 8 years in the military, I learned quite a bit of things. Unfortunately, well, I'm not going to say unfortunately, but I learned quite a bit of things. And when I EAS'd, I stayed home for 2 months, and I decided to move south. And I wanted to live a lot. I mean, I lived good in New York City, but however, I will be honest with you. I knew in the South I could legally carry a gun, and that is one of the reasons why I moved south. So, uh, since I've been living in the state that I reside in, let me also say this to you: I'm no tough guy. I don't want you to perceive me as he's a tough guy or something to that effect. I'm a guy that doesn't want anyone to bother them, just like anyone else. You don't bother me, I don't bother you. But however, I really wish that we could just live in peace, and that's everyone, and everyone be respectful of one another. But as long as we're here on this planet Earth, that is not going to happen. That's not the case, you know. Uh, so, with that being said, let me just go into s- some of the things that happened to me. Okay, uh, 1988, I was at a gas station. I was on the payphone, and I knew from training not to face the payphone, but to face away from it, so I could have better visual awareness. While you're on the phone, you're going to lose some of your hearing awareness. So going from my right to my left, I see these three guys, and they're giving me what we called the 1,000 yard stare. What I mean is, it wasn't three guys that just kind of walked by and just glanced at you and kept going. All three are really asphyxiated on me, like I owed them some damn money. All right. So they get into a little huddle, and then they come back towards me. When that happened, I just dropped the phone, and my car was parked next to the payphone. And so one of the guys said, "Hey man, is this your car?" And I said, "Yeah." And so then he said, "Would you give us a ride?" I said, "Well, I don't know you guys." Then he lifted up his shirt, and I clearly saw the handle of the gun, and he got shot 6 times. Okay, that was the easy part. Now, the people who were at the gas station, people who were in traffic, see me standing there with a gun in my hand and this guy laying on the deck. So I immediately yelled out for someone to call the police. Eventually, I could hear the sirens coming. Let me just tell you a little something about sirens if you didn't know this. When they invented the siren and you heard it coming, it was to let you know that help was on the way. So that's just a little history thing so that you can remember that. Was I glad the police will come in? Yes. But however, I had training. I knew when I heard the sirens coming, it was safe to put my holster my weapon. So I did that. Now remember, someone's going to point your ass out. So it's best to be able to go over to the police officer and point yourself out. I had my hands all the way sky high, and he stopped his car, and I said, "Officer, I had to shoot this man in self defense." Right away, he kind of looks at me. He goes, "Where is your gun?" I did not point. I did not go to grab it. Again, these are things that you have to train for just in case it happens to you. You can do this in the house. You don't have to get up and put any damn clothes on. You can go over it in your mind hundreds and hundreds of times. So I did like this, and I said it's right here on my right hand side. It would be you guys left. He said, "Don't touch it, anything." I said, "I'm not." So he took my weapon from me, and then he handcuffed me in the rear. And so we went over to the perp, and he said, "I don't see any gun." I said, "Lift up his shirt." I shouldn't said he didn't get a chance to get it out, but I blurted that out, and he saw the weapon, and he kind of just looked at me. So, like, make a long story short, the basically I look like bad guy. I mean, I can remember being in second grade. Miss Dewison. This was PS 120, damn, 123, I think it was. Uh yeah, 123. And Rodney was bothering me. And she never saw Rodney bother me. Even when I told her Rodney was bothering me, Rodney leave Theron alone. But the minute I waxed Rodney's ass off, guess who was in the principal's office? I liken to when you get into a self defense situation and you win, it's going to be something like that. You seriously injured or killed this perpetrator, but you're going to look like bad guy. Okay? So, the fourth police officer that got there said, "Isn't this such and such a person?" And they all kind of really looked, and it's like it came into focus. And come to find out, this guy was a known perpetrator in the area. When he encountered me, he just got out of jail for 10 months. He was out of jail 2 weeks after serving 10 months for what? Armed robbery. So the officer told me, he said, "Look, man," he said, "I gotta keep you detained." And he said, "I'll tell you what I'm gonna do to make it as comfortable as I possibly can. I'm going to handcuff you in the front instead of the back, but understand I have to handcuff you." So that's what he did. And then I went through the process, and of course, I was found not guilty. Now, let's fast forward the clock. That was 1988. Now the 90s come in. Carjackings are on the rise. I always drove a sedan, but in 1996, I decided to buy an SUV. 1997 comes along. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit more to this story. Was it my fault? Uh, I was accustomed to going grocery shopping late at night. I can go, get in, get out, and didn't have to deal with a bunch of people, dealing with that individual who's standing there and watches everything get rung up. Now they have to write a check and they don't have a fucking pen. You know what I'm talking about? Me, on the other hand, I was the guy who filled out the check, made sure I had a pen. The only thing I had to do at that particular time was just write in the amount. Okay, everyone's not going to do like I do. My mom tells me that constantly. Again, in training and just being respectful for other people makes a whole lot of difference. So, I purchased an SUV in 96, 1997, 2:30. No, it was 12:30 in the morning. Uh, I'm coming out of the grocery store, and four guys approach me asking directions. Immediately, I smelled a rat. I said, "Son of a bitch, please don't let this go down." And I was hoping I could just get in my car and just drive the fuck off, but I wasn't able to. And sure enough, they well, I'm not going to say what I did because I don't want any bad guys to hear this and you know how I had my how I had my weapon system on me and how I psyched them out and got rounds out. But however, I got three out of the four of them. The fourth one decided he ain't want none, and he made it to his vehicle when I was fighting and drove off. So the police get there, and this time the cops were a little bit different. This particular county I was in, the cops were a little bit different. And so they actually, took me to their office. They asked me if I wanted something to eat. They literally had a guy go to IHOP and get me something to eat while they sat and the detectives talked to me. Uh, they could have been fucking with me. I say that because I should have just kept my mouth shut and talked to an attorney. But I have to admit, they made me feel so like, hey, it's okay. I just told them what happened. Of course, they ran my background and did all that stuff. And again, I was cleared of the shooting. Uh, 2011 comes along again at night in the parking lot of a supermarket. And so this time I didn't have to shoot this guy. But however, what happened was when I went into the supermarket, he was a panhandler. He asked me for some money. I said, look, I'm getting ready to spend my money in here. When I was checking out, he was outside of the supermarket, peeking through the window, looking right at me, seeing me get my change. And I said, man, oh man, I'm going to have to deal with this guy. I actually took a seat after I got my paid for my groceries. I took a seat for a half hour, literally, for 1/2 hour. And I figure, hey, I'm all right, I'm good to go. I come out, I don't see this guy. But then all of a sudden, I hear something and I look and he's walking right towards me and he's got a hand behind his back. Now he's got a hand that he doesn't let me see. So I drew my weapon, and when he saw that I guess it would be blood on both sides or his blood would be shed, he decided he didn't want any and he got the hell on. Now, the whole time this was going on, there was a courtesy officer there. I saw him when I first went in. I didn't mention the guy to him, but on my way back, and even when I sat there for a half hour, I don't know where this guy was. I don't know whether he was taking a nap some damn where, reading the paper, or what. Nothing became of that, so I just didn't even report it. Uh, Let me just tell you that having a gun has saved my ass more than once. Before you start jumping to conclusions, let me explain. You're in the military and you're traveling from one base to another by yourself. You're driving from Camp Pendleton to New York, which is a whole 5 day trip. Or Fort Sill, Oklahoma to New York was a 36-hour ride. And you might stop. Sometimes the quickest place is at a motel. Now, some of you might not know the difference between a motel and a hotel. A motel, the rooms are accessible to the street. A hotel, the rooms tend to be inside of a building, not really accessible to the street. So when you're in a motel, people are hanging around, people see you. Sometimes people try to approach you. And I remember I was at a motel. I parked my vehicle right in front of the door, and I was taking my belongings inside. Five guys all of a sudden wanted to talk to me that time in the morning. I told them to stop. I couldn't help them. They kept going. I said, stop again. But when the weapon came out, all of a sudden they were like, oh, yeah, we need to stop. Another time in Portland, Oregon, I went to a 7-Eleven. Back then, of course, you could still pump your gas and then go pay for it. So I pump my gas. I go inside to pay for it. I can see the clerk looking at me kind of funny. And then when I looked at the people who were sitting in there, they were skinheads. So I walk over, and all of a sudden this female goes, "What are you doing in here? This is our 7-Eleven." So I said to her, I said, "Look at my plates." I said, "I'm not from here." I said that I'm just getting gas. I'm passing through. You'll probably never ever see me again. Just please let me pay for my gas and leave. I had a Browning high powered on me at the time. I purchased that weapon in 1981. If you're not familiar with the Browning high powered, it was the first high capacity 9 millimeter. It was it was finished in 1935. So that's how old that weapon, not the one that I had, but that's how old the weapon system is. 1935. They used the military called it the P-35, and so right out the holster you have 14 shots of 9 millimeter. And I made up my mind that I was ready to do what I had to do just in case someone got violent. And that's another thing. If you have to pull your weapon, plan on emptying it. It's not like in the movies when you shoot people, it all depends on where you shoot them and so forth, that they fall down right away and stop their hostile actions like in the movies. Sometimes people get hit and you have to fire on them several times. All right? So like I said, when you pull your weapon, plan on emptying it. The next thing is carry spare ammunition. I don't give a shit if your pistol carries 32 fucking rounds. Always be able to gas it back up or reload it. Okay? Uh During the time that I got in my shootings, I didn't know anything about self defense insurance, but it's just that my shootings were like so justified, the evidence was there. So I, just had to appear in court basically to listen to the judge say that I was free to go. Uh, I take no pleasure in having to hurt anyone, but I am not going to be hurt. Some things I hear people say, the last thing I want to do is shoot someone. Bullshit. The last thing you want to do is get killed or seriously injured. The first thing you want to do is shoot these motherfuckers out here if they're trying to do something to you. If a person points a weapon at you, you don't know what the fuck he's going to do. And after he kills you, it's not a fucking thing you can do after that. So stop that bullshit. The last thing you want to do is kill someone. I understand, but listen to what I'm telling you. The last thing you want to do is see yourself get killed or injured or one of your family members killed or injured. Take care of business if you are justified. Get that blaster out and start motherfucking going to work. It is just that damn simple. That's how it's done. But make sure you are the victim for the full ride. Don't get out there doing stupid shit and then all of a sudden, you started the damn thing. Now he pulls a knife and you pull a gun. Or you with a group of guys and they want to try to talk to some girls and they're not interested, and shit happens and you're caught in the middle of it. There's a saying, don't go stupid places with stupid people and do stupid shit. If you got a friend that likes to get drunk and grope women and talk shit to people, you need to get someone else to be your friend or get drunk at home. Don't go out with that person. So basically that's the deal. That's me putting my personal stuff out there. Again, I take no pleasure in doing anything to anyone, but if that shit happens, it's going down, and I'm going to have a story to tell when the damn smoke clears. All right. Uh, I have a channel, YouTube channel. It's Combat Pistol Tactics. I don't have a lot of videos up yet, but I will be posting some videos on YouTube. Is Combat Pistol Tactics. Excuse me for a second. Golly, jeez. I'm sorry. I hate to have to do that. Okay, but go to my YouTube channel and please subscribe. I'm not looking for tens and thousands of subscribers, but I'd like you to subscribe, and you'll probably see this video on it also. It's not all about shooting. When I talk about the tactics, it has to do with using your mouth to get out of situations also. But if it comes to guns, then you got to get guns on these motherfuckers. Because one thing predators understand is strength. That's what they understand. Sometimes they don't compromise. Everybody be safe.